right, the right to shut the laptop, silence the phone and reclaim your time. NCP MP Supriya Sule has introduced the Right to Disconnect Bill 2025, a law that gives Indian employees the power to say no to office calls, emails and WhatsApp messages after work hours. No 11 p.m. pings, no midnight urgent emails, no Sunday calls from the boss, because this isn't, at this point, only a policy. This is a lot more personal. It's about your personal, private time. India has always valued family, balance, and peace of mind, but our always on kind of work behavior has turned that upside down. It seems like employers take people for granted, and an MP has decided to now come up with a bill ensuring that employees have their rights in place. Look at what's happening. You have 72% of employees who feel stressed, as per a survey, by constant availability. 1 in 3 works beyond official hours. People work beyond official hours, and that's becoming very common. 1 in 3 people who say okay to that, extended hours. India ranks among the longest working hours globally, and work from home erased all boundaries. Employers largely expecting their employees to work much past their work time because they're working from home. Now, this is clear that Indians glorify staying late, being available, replying instantly, but the cost is massive. What Supriya Sule, the MP, says as part of that bill she's proposed, a legal right to ignore after-hours communication, fines for employers who pressure staff, clear rules for contact hours, digital curfews, and Employee Welfare Authority for disputes. Supporters say that this is about mental health and productivity, and they want people to respect that. Families deserve their time as well. Humans deserve breathing space. But there's also pushback at the same time. India works across time zones. So startups now will find it very difficult to ensure flexibility. Industries like IT, media, BFSI depend on late hours. Implementation could get quite messy. And remember, this is a private member's bill. Such bills rarely become a law. But Supriya Sule has tried. She's presented it and she's hoping for a good debate and possibly passing of it. But a big question here that this has sparked: if at all Europe can disconnect after work, can India, or is India ready to disconnect post-work hours? Well, let's hear it. Supriya Sule, who said it.
Sir, I beg to move to leave to introduce a bill to establish Employees Welfare Authority to confer the right on every employee to disconnect from work-related telephone calls and emails beyond working hours and on holidays, and right to refuse to answer calls and emails outside of work hours for all matters connected, thereafter incidental. Therefore, it's a right to disconnect.
All right, let's quickly bring in our guests on board. Dr. Kiranpreet Kaur, Human Resources Expert and Global Talent Acquisition Strategist. Also Professor Bijan Mishra, Consumer Policy Expert. Thanks both of you for joining us. Kiranpreet, would you want to give us your take? If India enforces a right to disconnect, how will global business operations adjust? And do you think Indians are ready? As much as we say that Indians must have the right to do it, you'll have a lot of Indians who still say, well, I'm ready to do it for that extra buck. If they're willing, if they're going to be paid extra, maybe this should be allowed. But without pay, you're expected to extend, and that's the norm. That usually is a practice all over. You expect things to happen for free. Do you believe it can be enforceable in a culture like ours?
Thank you for the wonderful question, Abida. Of course, I think since technology has made it so much convenient across the borders to, ensure that the work can be managed, healthy limits and respect for the time of employees can also be very well managed. Everybody needs time to rest, recharge, and take care of their loved ones. This is more of a cultural shift that as Indians we need to make, and it's high time we make it, given the kind of mental stress issues that Indians are reporting. If France can do it, if Belgium can do it, if Slovakia can do it, Germany can do it, we as well can do it. And it will be more of a business strategy. People will come back more refreshed, and their productivity will only talk better about them. So this is a great initiative which emphasizes more on mental well-being of employees, and this is the need of the hour for that, especially with the hybrid and remote work. It is indeed very much needed.
All right. Professor Bijan Mishra, would you want to come in on that? On Indians more often than not, willing to extend because they feel saying no. In fact, it's very hard for us to say no, right? It's a problem that I also have, and I've learned it the hard way, and only in the long run. I started off being vulnerable, saying okay to everything, working extended hours, and hoping that that's what will make me grow. But that is far from the fact. I mean, yes, you are willing to award or reward someone who's willing to go that extra mile, but doesn't always happen, as far as what I see.
So Ravina, I was expecting this kind of an opening remarks from you, and I know that you would get a smile with this bill, because this bill actually brings in a high dimension of employee welfare. You see, your health is paramount. You can't negotiate on your health. Nabila, you will agree with me that you can't stress yourself to that level that you become victim of avoidable diseases. You become victim of mental agony, mental health. And today, there are more than 70% of the population suffering from non-communicable disease like diabetes and other disease burden which are avoidable. So, it's a great bill to be brought, the private bill as we call it. But the issue is whether it will get legislated or not. That needs to be seen, debated. But of course, it's a good move. It's a good move by a constructive thinking, positive thinking parliamentarian, and that also a lady, to bring in such a welfare bill. I think it's in the right direction. And what the most important thing, Namila, is we have a huge amount of unemployment in our country. So this bill will also give opportunity to the unemployed to get employed in a productive manner. So why stress somebody, make the person overwork, and make the person just to oblige the bosses to agree to do overwork? That's not fair. So in my view, I think it's a great move. We must ensure that the 8 hours is very productively used, not in the manner it is used today. As you would see, especially in the government offices, they play cards, they while away their time in their 8 hours, they're not very proactive. So we have to make sure that while without compromising on productivity, we don't make people work more than 8 hours. They need to deliver. And many offices today, especially in the private sector, they are work driven. They tell you that if you finish your work, go home and relax. If you can't finish your work, then finish it and then go. So if you are not efficient, then you ought to be efficient. And that is the bottom line. And that is what, I think is the objective of this bill, or the preamble of this bill should be, that how to increase productivity of human resource in the country, and how to ensure that we are able to give equitable opportunity to all the citizens who need employment. So it will also help to generate employment and give, because as a consumer, say, I want 24/7 service. I want a 24/7 service, because I am not free at a time when you don't want to work, and I want you there when I'm free. So you need a 24/7 service. So in order to do that, you can't stretch a single person to do overtime or work hard. You see the fiasco which has happened with Indigo recently. They stressed the pilot to such an extent that the government had to clamp down in terms of bringing a law, a regulation, in terms of working hours, and bringing a limitation in terms of how much the crew and the pilots can work. So what I feel is, we don't have to wait for a law to be brought in. I think the government should seriously consider, in terms of bringing this private members bill into action and legislate it. It will be good for the country. It will be good for the citizens. And I think there'll be a smile on the face of all the employees. I'm sure about that.
Absolutely. Final one from Kiran Preet. Would you want to tell us that India's growth model itself is based on overworking or extended hours? We don't want to pay too much, but we want to extract a lot. What's the message to employers, whether this bill comes into effect or not? What industries truly need is, productive hours within that time frame, but they somehow want to stretch it much beyond it. It's a practice that needs to be busted. Tell us your view on employers and how they could probably take a inspiration from this bill.
I think employers need to really look around globally and learn from the leaders. Right to rest should fundamentally exist for everyone across. I mean, organizations, in other countries, for example, in Germany, like Siemens and some more, they are following the same practices just because it becomes a legislation compulsion, a compliance for various other countries. Why not in India? I mean, absolutely, it is required. A lot of countries started back in 2017. Some even made it only available for government employees, then later realized that it needs to be extended to private organizations as well, and they're wonderfully handling it all together. So growth never stops by giving rest to individuals who have done their due in the working hours that are set by the labor law. But in the end, all we look forward to is a mental satisfaction. Everybody is going out to work to achieve something. It cannot correspond to a burnout, complete burnout, where they forget to live only. So my end submission would be that labor laws have already been amended so much. I think this one more addition will add a lot of peace all across industries.
All right. Thanks very much, Dr. Kiranpreet and Professor Bijan, for joining us on this much needed topic here.